Shall we go? You ready? You turning it? What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to get
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Caleb is naked.
I'm not naked. I'm just topless.
Well,
Just like that guy I saw walking on the side of the road.
it's the parts I like to see.
Tits out.
Put this in a storyboard.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your twice-monthly podcast temporarily delivering the juice on the Joemo. This is your episode 97. We are going to cover from about the 33:51 to the 42:14 mark of the G.I. Joe movie. We are broadcasting live from the Circle K. I'm your host, Rufus, and with me are my two totally tubular time-traveling teammates from San Dimas High. Guys, step out of the phone booth and introduce yourselves, please.
Hey, dude, I'm Ryan.
Hey, I'm Caleb. What?
That was terrible for both of us.
I feel like there is one thing that society is missing that would align the sun, moon, stars, bring us to an age of Aquarius, if you will, and that would be hot Bill and Ted 3 movie gossip.
Hot goss.
Where's the Bill and Ted 3 news? Back in 2018, the internet was abuzz with
Back 2 months ago.
with B&T news. I would say more like May, June of 2018.
There's been stuff.
But I haven't heard anything since the summer months.
You gotta seek it out, man.
And, I tried to seek it out today. I found no new information. When is it happening? Are they filming? What are the plot deets? Will they do a Coachella Tupac George Carlin thing?
Huh. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, about the, Rufus situation. I don't know.
Maybe.
I will say I've recently watched, and I mentioned this on another podcast, but Wes and I recently watched both 1 and 2, and Bogus Journey is a lot of fun.
Who's playing Rufus? Do we even know that?
It's not even
doubt
clear
the
that there is a Rufus.
Yeah.
Who would be a good
They'd
Rufus?
have to address it, I would think.
Dave Chappelle?
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
That would be good.
Seriously.
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how they explain the whole visual difference, but it's the future, man.
They gotta wear shades.
Okay.
Well, it could be Bill Cosby.
Oh, perfect. This won't be our last Bill Cosby reference this episode, I assure you.
Excellent.
Welcome to the show. We did Transformers the movie. We'll get back to it soon, but for now, it's all about the grunts, the squids, the jarheads, the puddle pirates, the flyboys, the puddle pilates?
Puddle Pirates sounds like some kind of fetish where you like to pee on people.
The bullet sponges that are
Ew.
the enlisted elite members of G.I. Joe. And as I alluded to, we've got about 10 minutes of screen time to
that's
cover.
happening.
That's what's up. And in other news, I have been meaning to talk to you about this. I've been reading the IDW Transformers comics, which we are all way behind on that because that series has ended and they're rebooting a new one, and I don't know how related it is to the old series at all. But they're awesome. I need to share my issues with you guys so you
Please,
can read them.
do you have them digitally or physically?
I have them digitally. But I can make it happen for you.
You kind of jerked me off.
Let's get physical.
Yeah, they are awesome, and depending on who you talk to, they don't get good until a certain point. But I think it actually starts off pretty strongly, but it definitely gets amazing 2 or 3 years into the series, and they split off into 2 divergent series.
I have read some of the earlier ones, but it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, the series that I think people give the most credit to are the series that are related to the Lost Light and Hot Rod and a crew of misfits heading out to space looking for the Knights of Cybertron. They just do so much amazing character development, the way the stories are told, and sort of the the devices they use to tell the stories, and it's not super linear, and I just have to recommend it, and it makes
I'm into it.
It's emotional. It's just very well done. The writing is great. James Roberts. We saw him at TFCon just sitting at a table. I knew his significance, but
Do you mean Chicago TFCon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is coming
By
out.
the way, how was TFCon? LA,
Exactly.
right?
How was LA?
How was that Ron Friedman interview?
By the time this plays, I'll have gone to TFCon. Is there anything you guys want me to do while I'm there?
Get that original G.I. Joe script from
Yeah.
Ron
All
Friedman.
right. Well, by now we'll know. By the time the listener is listening to this, we'll know how big a failure our Ron Friedman adventures were.
I will say, I can't remember if it was Mike Seibert, who was also there with you, or you, Aaron, that I was talking to about getting my Ron Friedman Transformer script signed.
Yeah. Well, give me that.
I would like to get that. If you can work it with Flint Dilley to get him to sign it too, that'd be great.
He'd be like, I'm not signing this piece of garbage.
He's a good guy. He'd sign anything.
What if
listen to my interview.
What if he crossed out Ron's signature and wrote his in? Actually, that would be pretty amazing.
That's pretty great.
Is a story consultant credit on that script?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But surely the Twitterverse will know by the time this episode actually airs, and all of the information we're spouting right now is going to be
Pure speculation.
Well, it's very and weeks out of date.
Yes, as our podcast is when you do it like a month in advance.
You record to it once, and that's a whole month of material. Yeah. Last episode recap: we saw Beachhead. He has no composure whatsoever as he attempted to train the Rawhides. He just doesn't like their improvisational style. What are you doing? Again, I think you have the best beachhead out of the two of us.
Yep.
Caleb, you want to do a beachhead real quick?
Nope.
Okay.
Don't want to top that. Nope.
All right.
Can't top that.
We saw that Falcon is a walking hard-on who is easily compromised by the sound of a sultry southern accent.
I just pictured a rigid dick with a beret on top of it.
That will be our giveaway for
Yeah.
our G My Joe file card challenge, which I'm sure is underway.
It's underway right now. I'm sure we have lots of participants,
You wanna
contestants.
run down what that is?
What is it, Caleb? What are we doing?
We'll get it out
Start
of the way
from
real
the
quick.
top.
All right, so last episode I introduced a character that I created called Hardtack. He's a Civil War reenactor that's gone a little too far, a little delusional.
But his heart's in the right place.
Is it?
I guess.
He fights for the Union, so I
He
guess.
does. He doesn't. Yeah, he fights for the Union. He doesn't really know who G.I. Joe is. I don't think. But anyway.
But yet they've recruited him.
Yeah, they
as
just
I
point him
understand.
they just point him in the right direction and say charge. So, but anyway, I created that on a website called joecustoms.com. I'm by this point we have launched that on Twitter.
So our challenge is called,
G My Joe File Card Challenge.
and our challenge is for listeners to
Create their own file card, G.I. Joe file card, through joecustoms.com. Create a Joe character,
Absolutely.
get creative.
Yeah, get creative. And basically you will post that on your Twitter, that file card, and then hashtag GMyJoe.
And at us.
And at Autopod Decepticast or at
APOD Decast.
APOD Decast.
Which is our handle.
Yeah, or is it just APOD?
It's just APOD Decast.
All right. And then we will retweet it, and then at the end of this this run of discussing G.I. Joe the movie, we're going to have a drawing, draw out of a hat. The winner will get some sweet APOD Decast merch. And at this point, we have created a G.I. Joe specific merch that person will also receive.
Or we've discussed what it will be.
Yes. So
You'll also get some of our current merch. We've got the Cup recruitment poster, as well as our button set Series 1, and then another piece of original art, TBD.
Yes. Exactly.
Executed mostly by Mr. Ryan Jett, no doubt.
Hey.
You're signing up.
Yeah, baby.
voluntold.
He's like, do I have to do fucking everything around here?
To serve and protect.
Yes.
So yeah, please, get involved in that. It's going to be fun. We'll also read the profiles out aloud as you do.
Yeah, as you
on
send
the
them, we'll
podcast.
do them on the episodes.
And
I'm really
it'll be a lot of
excited to
fun.
see. Caleb's was a lot of fun. If you didn't hear it, go back to the last episode. It's great. Very amusing.
We need to make some.
Yeah, Aaron and I will make some, and I feel like we're you can do whatever you want. I'm probably gonna lean the same way Caleb did with doing something bizarre and fun with it. But
Yeah, I thought of another good one. Actually, my son thought of a character called Bloodshot, and he meant
does he just have really red eyes?
Well, in my opinion, I'm like, it could go. I don't know. I haven't fleshed that out. I love the name Bloodshot. He's either going to be like some kind of pot smoking GI Joe character, or like an insomniac, and he just can't. He doesn't sleep.
I like it.
We'll see.
Maybe inspired by your character, I'll create a Cobra character that actually was a
Clear eyes?
Confederate. No.
Clear eyes.
No.
Visine. Yeah.
No, a Cobra character who was a Confederate sympathizer, and not because he's racist, because he cares about states' rights.
States' rights.
Okay, so last episode recap. We saw that Falcon is a walking hard-on who is easily compromised. And speaking of compromise, Falcon's date, revealed to be Zorana, delivers the information that will kick off Serpentor's rescue right now, tonight.
Yes. They're wasting no time.
No, they don't fuck around.
Nope, they don't.
Serpentor, so we kick it off at the 33:51 minute mark. Serpentor is in his cell. He is testing out the security of his cell.
He hates these pillows.
Yeah, the way you do. The way you have to test out security. You throw a pillow. And he's going to have a neck pain in the morning.
Well, I guess he's just assuming they're going to rescue him soon so he doesn't have to sleep on just the mattress.
Again, Flint cocked his pistol last time and then ran out the door. I just saw Gung Ho also talking about protecting Serpentor. He just cocked his rifle.
Oh man,
Yeah.
These guys love talking about stuff and then just locking and loading.
That's probably a trope unto itself.
Oh,
the pistol cock as sort of the cool.
It's just like,
We're
but
ready
It's
to
always
go
a thing,
whenever.
like, I'm sure in movies, like, if you really kept track of some of the cocking of a shotgun, there'd just be shells being ejected unfired
Yeah.
because
Oh,
it
yeah.
happens all the time. So you mentioned, Caleb, that, yes, he's being guarded by Gung Ho, Alpine, and Bazooka.
That's
in
right.
in this room.
Alpine is feeling a little bit uneasy about the task that they have of guarding Serpentor, but Gung Ho, his co-screw, helps him feel better. After all, that new kid, Lieutenant Falcon, is guarding the perimeter. He says a few more things, and he ends his dialogue with, "I figure he'll give us all the warning we need."
I guess the word didn't get back to these guys about the confrontation with
It's
Duke.
brilliant considering today's display. And I keep getting Gung Ho and Leatherneck confused.
Oh, really?
Like, just even though Leatherneck's not really in the movie, I want to call him Leatherneck, but also sometimes Roughneck, which is an oil rig worker. I'm just having some trouble with these mustachioed guys.
That's going to be your G My Joe character, Roughneck.
Roughneck?
Works on an oil well. I don't know. Figure
Works
it out.
on an oil well.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll flesh that out.
Well, the movie shows us that, in fact, it is not a good idea to feel good about the scheduling decision here, because we see that Lieutenant Falcon's chair is empty, and while Gung Ho is talking up Lieutenant Falcon, we see he's gone, and you know what he's left behind on his chair?
That manual?
The fucking technical manual.
Yes, he hates these manuals. Oh, man.
So, why does he hate technical manuals? Better question, why is he not in the brig right now to begin with? Why does he have this
Not
job?
even in the brig. Maybe you could, I don't know, I guess gloss over it. Maybe Duke covered for him and didn't report it. Even though he did, because we'll later see that Hawk knows about it. But definitely guard duty is not the position you want to put this fuckhead in.
Somebody who's proven to not be is trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Lieutenant Falcon, he is not on duty. Instead of guarding his post, he's decided to go sexually harass fellow Rawhide Jinx.
Which we see her working on a Havoc. Again, everyone does everything, and she's, I guess, a ninja mechanic.
She
Ninja
should be-
mechanic and finance.
Yes, accountant.
She should be working on with a
Blindfold.
blindfold.
That's right.
She's going to really get
Oh
a
my
fix.
God.
Well, she didn't have a ninja mechanic
That's
guide.
true.
He was just teaching her how to fight.
As my blind mechanic taught me.
The way he flirt. Oh, I mean,
So-
everything about how. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say his opening gambit is steality steal. I'll just take your tools like I'm in kindergarten.
I kind of get that. That's kind of a little
is
playful move, but it's not a playful move you use with somebody that you don't know very well.
Or if you're in your 20s.
Well, the word is that they've already had a relationship.
Yeah, that's what we were debating that last episode.
It does seem like they have history.
Right. So, but that, I think, history aside, I don't think it's cool for him to just be like, nice legs for a grease monkey soldier. And, which, okay, maybe if you know each other, you've been on a date or two, it went well, it's acceptable, maybe not. But then he pops her on the ass and says, you want me to kiss it and make it better. That's official creepo status at this point,
like,
right?
there's, yes, and there's two things that I had about this. Like, he says, you're supposed to be glad to see me, Jinx. Why? That's something Ted Bundy would say. That's an insane thing. And then also it reminded me of the way, I have one specific embarrassing memory that is bored into my mind from junior high of trying to flirt with Amanda Hedgepeth.
Ooh, dropping full names on the podcast.
Absolutely, she's a listener. I remember we had those desks that had like the L-shaped desk and then the basket beneath them, and we were in science class, Mr. Lakin's science class, I believe.
Dropping more names.
And she sat behind me, and like there was a desk to my left that was empty, and we were just working on homework and stuff. We had to go and turn it in, and I thought, okay, here's what I'm gonna do.
Oh boy.
When she gets up to take her paper, I'm going to put my legs, because I was sitting sideways across the aisle with my legs on the empty desk, because I'm cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, when she goes to put her paper away, I'm going to slide this desk toward her, and what's going to happen is it's going to hit her knees, and she's going to sit down, and it'll be really fun and sexy and cool. But what actually happened, like you would imagine if you're a person, is I kicked the desk and it just bashed her in the knees. And she looked at me and went, ow, that hurt. And I went,
This reminds me of we don't have to talk about this reminds me of you rented that place for the Valentine's.
yes, go back and
we
listen to
covered
that
that.
episode.
We won't get-
The Valentine's Day debacle where I rented a bed and breakfast room.
Arguably bigger fail.
Absolutely, but this was the junior high version of that. My poor decisions.
But yeah, to your point though, stealing somebody's tools is a very junior high sort of pull on the pigtails way of saying, I like you.
Yeah, he's
Pay attention to me.
I do think that they have an established relationship at this point. I don't know why I remember that, but I think that's why he's like so surprised.
Well, she mentions that they had a sort of date
Yes.
in the last episode,
But-
which I took to mean that in an off-screen moment, they actually did have flirtatious, mutual banter. But Ryan believes...
I think she's referring to the fact she was supposed to be sparring with Falcon whenever Beachhead came in and says, where's Lieutenant Falcon?
Right.
Okay,
So unknown.
So he's a little late. He's looking to spar a little bit now.
I guess so. But also to add credibility to what Caleb is saying. So she lets him know that at this point it's hands off, and it's apparent. The reason I think that Caleb has validity is he is making excuses for the other girl that he was hanging out with. Like, oh, Heather,
right.
that was nothing. If you knew about that, so it feels like she's a little jealous.
Yeah.
I think he thinks she's jealous whenever it's actually indifference. But he is such a psychotic person that he imagines that everybody must want him. So, she's not into me now because she saw me with another girl. That's why she's upset.
Right.
Not I'm a borderline criminal.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way, and either way doesn't really give him any bonus points.
He keeps putting his hands on her.
as a
It's
human.
like
It's bad. Oh, is that what he just...
Yeah, so a little pop on the tuchus there. She tells him to cut the shit, and get back to guarding Serpentor. And Falcon's like, it's all good. He proceeds to run down all of the possible security checkpoints that a mythical intruder would have to surpass. And as he's running these down, which I will do.
Oh, right there.
Mythical
if you
intruder.
notice what we have right here.
We have a wrist grab.
Oh, a classic
Yep.
Sunbow Wrist-Grab.
Lieutenant Falcon grabs Jinx's wrist.
Right at the 34.56 mark.
I'm writing that down.
but I think
the Sunbow wrist grab.
But to be fair, was she not getting ready to take a swat at him?
I don't think it didn't appear that
No,
way
I
to
don't
me.
think so. Let's replay that
I think he's
footage.
trying to control her body.
Did I miss
No,
it?
no.
Here goes. He's talking the shit. He puts his hand on her shoulder, and she knocks it off.
Points
She's
at him.
pointing at him.
Okay,
And he
that's-
grabs her wrist.
He just
grabs her
grabs it.
point. Never mind. That was not a defensive move.
Not at all.
In fact, some might say it was offensive.
Only people who saw it.
She's telling him to get back to Serpentor. He's talking about, it's all good. He's explaining ID bracelet. Well, they'd have to fake one. Well, it turns out Cobra faked one. He says, we've got this pentaplastic shield. That'll stop them cold. Well, it doesn't stop it cold. You're cold when you've got Pythona's crazy fingernail.
Yep.
And then it's
melters.
wrenched open by Nemesis Enforcer's elbow claw things. But shouldn't that in and of itself set off an alarm? Like that you've penetrated the pentaplastic shield?
I would think so. And then he talks about some super hard concrete that they're going to have to blast through.
Which I love that there is an actual fuse, and it's not an electronic detonator. He lights like a bottle rocket.
I mean, when we're dealing with the people that we're dealing with, I'm surprised it's not some organic squid brain-looking explosive device.
I got the impression that was a dreadnought device, like that's something that they just had laying around.
I feel like they have the ability to make homemade bombs.
They're Australian, right?
Yes.
So they like blow it up with a can of Vegemite.
Offensive.
Our Australian listeners, call in and tell us about your Vegemite bombs.
We once sang the Australian national anthem on here.
That's true.
It was a tribute.
Pythona, Nemesis Enforcer, and the Dreadnoks get into the main cell, and a nice little skirmish breaks out. The alarm is cut. Gung-Ho...
But how? Because we don't see it get cut. That does not happen on screen.
I think at this point, anything's possible.
That's what my problem is because we see it cut, but it's not cut, and it's clearly right next to the Joes. And so, obviously, the Cobra didn't cut it, but then Pythona later says, he must not reconnect that alarm, implying they cut it, but there's no indication that occurred.
They clearly cut it. We just don't know how they did it.
They should have released some sort of strange crab squid hybrid that
clamps
goes in.
it.
Exactly.
Under the sea.
I want to find out who the voice of that character was.
Of the crab.
Sebastian?
Keep talking, I'll find out.
All right. Gung-Ho, he takes a dive to twist it back together. Nemesis Enforcer at this point then attacks Gung-Ho.
With his laser-proof wings.
That's right. He's blocking it. He's a strong character.
Yeah, he's
with
badass.
a strong name, debatably. And he attacks Gung-Ho. Alpine intervenes at this point, which gives Gung-Ho an opportunity to twist that back together and eventually set off the alarm.
Absolutely, yeah. And the alarm's reconnected. And then Falcon says, "Oh no, it can't be. Oh brother, you really are bad luck," in reference to Jinx, which is like, you're a psychopath.
He blames Jinx for his screw-up.
He abandoned his post to sexually and physically harass her. And then when what happened, what she said was going to happen did, he's like, your fault. I feel like he really would do well in this administration.
He will probably take over as president once our current president is prosecuted. And
God, fingers crossed.
The alarm goes off. Nemesis Approacher?
Nemesis Approacher.
That's a great name.
I'm actually going to keep this. The alarm goes off. Nemesis Approacher goes to Serpy's cell. He uses his adamantium wings to block the connection of the laser jail bars. He creates a gap for Serpentor to sneak through, which Serpentor does. And at this point, we go outside of the base. Joes are crawling out of every window, nook, and cranny available. Duke orders to make chase with the recon sleds.
Yes, dropping a toy name.
They did a really good job with the toys.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the vehicles on this,
G.I.
and
Joe
incorporating
toys-
them into the show.
Like, the G.I. Joe vehicles are super, like, they're the best.
I agree.
Controversial statement that no one will refute.
I think you're wrong, Ryan.
Yeah, that's like, I thought they were terrible. Then Pythona drops, explosive trilobites.
So these sort of horseshoe crab grenades explode, disable their pursuers, and back at the headquarters, Falcon is just immediately detained by General Hawk, who appears to be an electron's width away from just beating the fuck out of him.
Well,
I don't blame him.
So, dereliction of duty, post-desertion, security penetrated, Serpentor freed, 3 good men injured, although it looked like a lot more than that with all the crab bombs that were going on earlier. He is being confined to quarters until court-martial. I, again, don't know why they give him the benefit of going to quarters. I would assume they have a jail.
Yeah.
a brig.
Oh, yeah. I'd throw him in the Serpentor one that they just escaped from.
They can find
The irony.
and put a guard on it. And I just noticed this again in like researching the ranks of things. Like General Hawk has 1 star on his helmet, and later we'll see a star on his lapel. So I guess he's a 1-star general, a brigadier general. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just found I got really interested in it.
I never would have guessed, Ryan, that you would be our link to military credibility, but I'm happy that we have some.
Hey, I took that test in high school.
The ASFAB?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it ASFAB? Because that's absolutely fabulous.
Did you ever, Ryan, in your digging of military rank, did you like try to find like the highest ranking ever and stuff like that, like 5-star?
highest ranking ever? Yeah.
5-star, 6-star. There's only ever been 1 6-star general.
I didn't even know there was a 6-star.
There was, yeah. I think it was General Pershing.
Because mine was, let's see.
This might be a bad.
Because it had the 1-star general is brigadier, then 2 stars major general, 3 stars lieutenant general, 4 stars general, and then 5 stars general of the army.
There you go.
By the way, I said ASFAB and you said absolutely fabulous. Mm-hmm. It's actually the ASVAB.
ASVAB. Mm-hmm. Younger listeners, do you still take that in high school where it's a qualifying test for the armed services?
I think it's mandatory.
That's
that
weird.
People have to take it.
It's super weird.
Not sure. At this point, by the way, Jinx is like,
Yeah.
We're back at the Himalayas.
I don't know why she's shocked.
she predicted this. We're back at the Himalayas.
Yep.
A ship that looks like it was inspired by a beetle grub of some sort floats by some mountain climbers.
These Sherpas have had a bad day.
Yeah.
I also my description of the thing is like a bio zeppelin, like a caterpillar jellyfish.
Yeah.
And they pilot it.
In a really interesting way.
Interesting or gross.
Both.
They steer the ship via several string-like bands that we are to believe are internal organs of this larvae.
Closet.
Here we go.
Yes.
They tug at some nerves. It lets out a hawk's scream, which opens up another disgusting hole in the mountain that I believe Ryan probably has some commentary on.
Why? Yeah, it's the mountain's pussy. It's a vagina-cave. Like, it's just like in Transformers Scramble City with Ratbat, where he penetrated deep inside.
Yeah, I knew what you were going with there. And as it goes deep into the hole, it actually we see from inside the cavern, and it does look like I was saying it looks like somebody is scoping a colon, but we'll say it's some of that kind of like internal vaginal penetration fetish videos.
Come on,
Hey,
man.
that's weird where they have the camera going.
No.
I'm not into that.
Yeah, I'm not either.
That exists?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll send you some links.
No, please don't.
The Zeppelin continues its flight. We see more just awful, disgusting creatures.
Yep. And the sound that it makes when it lands is gross. It's like
The sound effects are disgusting in this movie when it comes to Cobra-la.
Kudos to everybody who was involved in designing this, because even though I hate it,
It's
a
pretty
mountain
creative.
of creativity.
It's true.
They fly into the main part of the city, which looks like some kind of satanic Ewok village.
Oh my stars!
It flies past the cell where the Joes are kept. You think they'd be desensitized to all this grossness by now, but they're not. Roadblock, who, by the way, he gets to keep his soul patch, and Lady J gets to keep her arrows. But Roadblock, he's like,
yeah, she still does have her arrows. I've never noticed that before.
They just keep getting uglier. The ship lands. Make the sound effect. And we cut to a being that we have yet to interact with on screen. And the top part of his head is fuzzy at this point. You can't really tell what's going on there. But the bottom part looks like Admiral Akbar's head.
Yeah.
I described it in my notes. I put, God damn it, now where was it? Oh, his bottom half is like a floating catfish frog head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Prepare the path of esteem is what he says, I think. And we all know from our Maslow triangles that first you need your physiological needs met, of course.
Oh, boy.
Food, water, rest. Then it moves on to safety, which is security. Belongingness, love. That's next on the hierarchy. Your relationships, your friends, kind of what we have.
You're going to take it all the way, aren't you?
Only then can your esteem needs be met.
Yeah, that guy's full of shit.
and then only then. I mean, you've got one more level, the self-actualized status.
He's a fucking idiot.
So that's what he's preparing the pathway for here?
Exactly. And lots of la-la-las, as we've discussed in prior episodes. Some slaves bring forth some sort of chase throne, and when it hits the ground, this army of giant fucking ticks.
Yeah.
Millions.
They do look like ticks. I took them as crustaceans, and then we have an irising butthole where Serpentor comes out of. That is clearly a butthole.
Yeah,
it's all gross.
I wrote down cloaca, but what is a cloaca?
Cloaca's
nature's
also
butthole. So, God damn it, they just keep outdoing themselves.
Yeah.
It looks gross in there.
It's so gross.
I think it would smell awful, too.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Asshole is a perfect metaphor, though, because then Serpentor comes out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And decided that platform that comes out is decidedly non-gross. I don't think...
Yeah,
They're
it's
like,
the
no, we
weirdest
gotta-
mechanic. Like it should have been like a tongue or something that came out. But it's just a ramp.
Yeah.
He salutes his host. He notes that whoever this mysterious person is was behind his jailbreak and he owes him his freedom. And the host interjects, your freedom and your life. It turns out that this guy, Golobulus, he lays claim to creating Serpentor and views him as a possession.
Mm-hmm. It's a weirdly casual introduction of a pretty major character. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't have a real grand entrance or anything.
He's just there.
Yeah.
He's just there. And I guess he's been low-key introduced by Cobra Commander earlier.
Golobulus will have your head for this, yeah.
But, so I guess if you're the type of person who could remember Cobra Commander said that, maybe you'd be like, oh, that's who he's talking about. That must be
Golobulus. I just feel like there should have been like some fanfare and enter Golobulus or whatever.
Right. The claim that Golobulus is responsible for Serpentor outrages Mindbender.
This is the best.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, as he remembers it, he spent lots of effort genetically engineering Serpentor, presumably with a scalar, a drill, and some fluoride. Because he's a dentist.
I'll be a dentist. And then Destro immediately just throws shade at Dr. Mindbender where he's like, didn't ever occur to you that such a brilliant plan was beyond the capacity of even your fine intelligence.
Yeah. Destro gets it. As good as Mindbender is at preventing tooth decay, he would need some extra mental electricity to come up with an idea like crafting a perfect emperor warrior by merging the DNA of Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Attila the Hun, Philip II, Alexander the Great, Ivan the Terrible, Vlad the Impaler, Hannibal, Genghis Khan, Rasputin, Montezuma, Geronimo, Eric the Red, Osama bin Laden, and Floyd Mayweather.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, you're throwing your own fan fiction in there.
That I forgot. It's been, again, we've covered this. It's been a long time since I've watched G.I. Joe. I knew there was some gene splicing. That's like 10 dudes.
It was a long little series. I mean,
Five episodes. Whoa!
They had to be getting
5 episodes.
They had to be getting
turned into
too
Porky
thorough.
Pig there for a second.
So it turns out Golobulus, he implanted the idea and the skill to Dr. Mindbender.
Also, though, was it all that brilliant? Like, and number 2,
You'd have to be smart to do it.
I guess.
Mindbender backs down pretty quick, though.
He does. He sees the way the wind's
He's
blowing.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not Cobra Commander.
No.
He can read that room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for all I know, Destro was just kissing ass because he knows that these people
Absolutely.
could murder him.
I think that's what he was doing
at
for
any
sure.
second.
Absolutely.
So, implanted the idea. He reveals the psychic motivator, which is what did
By
that,
the way,
which is
real
a
quick.
horrifying chirping insect.
Mindbender, cut. Have you seen his chest?
Absolutely.
Go back and look at that shit.
Yeah. Everybody's cut. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You can't be a part of either of these organizations if you've got over 7% body fat.
That's true. All right.
It's just the way it goes. Sorry.
All right.
You don't qualify.
I
Sorry.
do not.
Now,
That little chittering thing.
yeah, that was the least gross thing that this
Still
movie has
upsetting,
had to
'cause it's
offer.
big.
Does it go into his ear?
I
They don't really
know. I thought of like
go-
that Star Trek where
Oh, yeah.
they have the worms that go into the ear, and
is
I'm like,
gross.
this is worse.
They should have cut to a scene of however that thing invades
Absolutely.
Mindbender's brain. Just to, they're not afraid to gross us out in other ways. So the Cobra peeps are looking on. Mindbender, everybody swears allegiance as we see Cobra-la's infamous Uncle Fester Brigade in the background.
I know.
looking
I
on.
had that note too, where I'm like, that's what they look like with their just a chunky white faces.
Yeah, with no expression. Golobulus, it turns out, really, really wants that broadcast energy transmitter. And he poses a very strange threat about hating to lose Serpentor. However, you will have other opportunities to serve me. I don't understand it.
It's an odd line that does. I played that 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, that does not make any sense.
No.
It seemed to me like the Springer line where in Transformers the movie he's like, this is the, believe it or not, this is the fun part.
Right.
Like, in what way?
Yeah. Caleb, you've seen more of this movie than we have.
Yeah.
Does that line make any sense in the context of what you've seen without any spoilers?
No, from what I've seen the rest of the movie recently, and no. As a matter of fact,
No pay.
I don't even remember that line. I don't even recall that line being said because it never gets touched on ever again in the movie.
Okay.
Nope.
Good to know.
I do remember Golobulus telling him that he's gonna eat lightning and crap thunder.
That is
Thanks for doing that.
great. Well done.
Had to happen sooner or later.
Before we can get back to the BET, the topic of BET, what we've got to do right now, though, is attend to the trial of Cobra Commander. And, of course, Cobra Commander is being held in a pond inside of some sticky clam-like creature.
Yes.
Which, again, is also pretty tame by Cobra-la standards,
Yeah.
but still...
I have some notes when
Gross.
Buzz Dixon talks about that.
I will have to say, even though Cobra's in a bad spot here, uniform looking good.
Yep, Hugo Boss.
It's like he must have had a heavy starch on that outfit.
It's pressed.
Yeah.
The one thing
It's
he's
true.
missing, though, that I'm a little disappointed by is his cape.
Yeah, they took that away from him, didn't they?
I mean, the cape's... And where's his hoodie?
He's still got a cell phone on him.
Make the call.
And then we're back to Joe.
Back to Joe Base. There's more goddamn conquests to do a flyby. They're just showing off.
Wasting wasting jet fuel.
That's right.
I love the recruits listening at the courtroom
There is
door.
no security.
No,
at this
anybody
place.
can be anywhere at any time.
I like how they put the words courtroom.
Yes.
on the door.
Yes. Which it looks like a holodeck from Star Trek. It's
Yeah.
like, why do the doors have to open like that?
And could they? I have to assume that's a foot thick steel door. Could they
Absolutely.
really hear
What are you
anything
hearing?
on the other side of that? We cut to the inside of the courtroom. General Hawk is laying into Falcon, and his helmet is not on. I thought it'd be funny if he was wearing his helmet at this
No,
point.
he's in his dress uniform.
Well, it's okay. So it's fun that you bring up dress uniforms because we see as Hawk is getting his lecture here, we see a whole group of Joes in the audience watching this go down. And I love at this formal affair, these everyday Joes are still in their garb.
Yes.
And so you've got Rock and Roll with his bandoliers and Tripwire, who is in a goddamn bomb suit.
Oh, that frame that you just that was the it cuts to a guy in the forefront who's on the
Panel,
dais. Yeah, and he has like a gray beard, and it just looks like it's the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
Is one of the people on the panel, which comes back later because Hawk says it's a tribunal, but there's 4 dudes up there.
I don't always court-martial
Yes.
fuckless layabouts, but when I do.
Now, who are those guys?
Yeah, Hawk is the only one we know, right? Except
I think so.
There is another guy up there that looks familiar to me. He's got a mustache and shades.
There's a guy up there with shades
yes.
on.
It's it is another Joe. I don't know who it is, but you're right. It's like not Wildfire. It's Wild something.
This guy.
Is it him?
I think that's
Wild
is
Bill.
him. Yes, Wild Bill. That's
He's
him.
a helicopter
That's
pilot.
him.
Why is he up there?
That's him. That's Wild Bill. That's the 4th member.
Why is he a part of that tribe? Does he have rank?
He's the wild card.
Clearly, he is. He's on the panel, so he must know somebody.
Okay, well,
They're like,
there he is.
they're like,
Yeah, there he is, right there.
They're like, yeah, they just like him. Yeah, get
Yeah.
Wild Bill up here.
So to
He's
your
a card.
to your point, Ryan, that you were bringing up on the last episode
Yeah.
about everybody looking the same. I whenever Duke steps up as he does to try and give Falcon some credit or try to speak positively for him, Falcon grabs Duke, and I've always thought that was Flint grabbing Duke, saying, "Wait, you don't have to do this," but it was Falcon saying, "You don't have to do this."
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just.
I didn't
stupid.
think that, but you're right. They're dressed so similarly, and again, like just guys with brown hair and like in camo. But this is the big reveal where we find out that that Lieutenant Falcon is Duke's half brother.
So, despite all of the fuck ups that General Hawk is laying out for the audience here, no acts of merit, lots of bullshit.
This is a completely reasonable thing. He should be kicked out of jail.
They're going to throw the book at him. Duke steps up and he requests leniency. On what grounds, General Hawk asks? Nepotism.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like they even say, like there's no. I don't know how you. General Hawk says, I don't know how you even got into this outfit.
Right. Duke thinks there's some good shit mixed in with the bad shit. This kid can be straightened out like a certain flame-chested hero we all know and love. The court at this point is like, we got to recess. I don't know what this means.
Well, it's only a preliminary hearing.
That's true. It's not a court martial.
It's not a court martial. It's a preliminary hearing to see it. It's like a grand jury to see if you're going to go to trial.
Duke escorts his brother out of the courtroom. That son of a bitch Falcon has no gratitude whatsoever
prick.
for Duke's action. He tells him to stay out of it. You've done more than enough already, big brother, which I don't know what that means.
Tried to help me.
I
know.
Well, he kind of clarifies that just riding his ass all the time is the problem he has with him.
Maybe if you weren't a constant fuck up, I mean,
Right.
that wouldn't be an issue. But
Duke mentions that he told their mother he'd look out for him, but maybe it wasn't a job he should have signed
you know
up
what
for.
Falcon is? He's a habitual line stepper.
Of course. Hate those types of people. He's not a line stepper. He's a line leaper.
Yep.
Is he a hot stepper?
Here he comes.
Word
Word him up.
Damn it. So the Rawhides, they see very well that Falcon is this just pig-headed piece of garbage. And they don't want Duke to get in trouble for Falcon's idiocy. Lowlight emerges from the main trial room here and says, it's time to get it going. So they go back into the courtroom, and it turns out Falcon gets off easy. No court-martial. However, he is going to get grazed, corn-fed, and sent to the slaughterhouse.
You go into the slaughterhouse. Yeah.
And Falcon falls back in. The door opens into this bright light that encompasses him, and that is where We'll end
And
this.
at the sentencing, that music, I believe, is from Transformers Season 3.
Oh, I imagine it is. Does Vince DiCola get any credits? Actually, Vince DiCola isn't credited for Transformers Season 3. That's the guy who died, whose name I can't remember. So, that's the end of the minute.
It is in the reveal with Duke and Falcon being half brothers. The story behind that is Falcon was originally meant to be the son of the originally meant to replace the soon-to-be killed Duke. Mm-hmm. In an early draft, he was General Hawk's son, which is, like you said, Aaron, in a previous episode, why there's the bird theme.
Right.
Dixon refers to him as Kitty Hawk, as we said in the last episode, and they were eventually turned into half brothers for no reasons I can find.
Is that our script deviation?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we should...
Script deviations.
Ryan, you are the only person that has any access to the script at this point, so please proceed.
Thank you. At this point, I'm sure we've gotten the full G.I. Joe script from TFCon, from Rod Friedman, that you have procured for us.
Right.
So that'll be next episode.
I'm sure he just keeps one on hand to give out to beggars.
At this point, it's for all we know, he's agreed to come on the show and just read this segment for us every episode.
Oh,
that would be amazing.
We'll just have him read his entire script while we're in L.A.
It would be awesome.
Okay.
Block it out, Friedman. So this is just coming from the Ron Friedman outline for G.I. Joe the movie. Serpentor is a prisoner. Kitty Hawk is censured. Chewed out for foolhardy action on the battlefield, which could have jeopardized the entire crew, jeopardized the base. So while other Rookie Patrol members are applauded and invited to a celebration ball that evening, Kitty Hawk is assigned to guard duty. And so at this point, basically he's referencing that there was an attack on the Joe base as opposed to the attempted rescue.
Jailbreak.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Buzz Dixon information from this episode. Falcon harassing Jinx as she fixes the havoc. Want me to kiss it and make it better. And Dixon says, I can't believe they let us get away with that line.
Yeah. I can't believe they put it in there.
I can't believe they wrote it, filmed it, animated it, and was like, print it. He's the three guards on Serpentor. Dixon says that is the Joe's elite mustache squad.
I like it.
He seems obsessed with mustaches, but which led me down the thing of why are cops and soldiers only allowed to grow mustaches? There doesn't seem to be a reason.
In the Navy, I don't know if it's still true, but when my dad was in Vietnam in the Navy, that branch of the military would allow you to have a beard.
Really? Yeah, it seems random.
It goes back to the sailor thing. I think they just kept some traditions alive.
It also made me wonder what the last president of the United States we had with a beard, and it was Benjamin Harrison in 1889 to 1893, who oversaw the commission of the Statue of Liberty, bringing it back to G.I. Joe. Aaron's looking something up, so he's not listening to me at all.
I am. I was looking up Buzz Dixon to understand his mustache fetish.
Well, she has one.
And it turns out he's got a rockin' mustache
It is
himself.
a good mustache. He has a roadblock / rough leatherneck mustache.
He looks like he could be Sergeant Slaughter's brother.
He actually could, yeah.
If he had aviators on instead of those 80s kind of squarish, round-edged glasses, he would look like Sergeant Slaughter.
He does. He also does a lot of cons and stuff like that. So maybe at some point we could find one where he's at.
Maybe.
Okay. Continuing with this thing. We're at the mountain vagina. Dixon's comment is no comment.
That's awesome.
On Golobulus, as Burgess Meredith, who is the voice of Golobulus, Buzz Dixon says, most famous for the penguin, but I like to remember him from Of Mice and Men, where he was George Talon Chaney's Lenny. And that's 1939. I'm like, did you not see any of the Rocky movies?
Yeah, how is he most famous for the penguin?
Yes.
Okay.
Golobulus was originally envisioned as, quote-unquote, very corpulent, a big, fat, helpless dude on a platform being fed and pampered dependent on servants.
So Jabba the Huttish?
Yeah.
I can see that.
At the end of the movie, he would have to fight someone where, this is a trope, moving at blinding speed and endurance in contrast to his appearance, which the trope is acrophatic.
Ooh.
Similar to the handicap badass. Hasbro thought that idea was too effeminate, which is weird.
That is weird.
Then the clam that Cobra Commander comes out in, Dixon says he liked the allusion to Botticelli's Venus here, but...
What a pretentious allusion.
Well, that's the funny thing is he wrote that in the script. So he's like, I like that they did the Botticelli's Venus here, but it's like, oh, that was my idea.
Fall in love with yourself.
I like Buzz Dixon. He seems like a cool dude.
Yeah. Here's a picture of him, probably a little bit more contemporary.
No mustache.
No mustache.
Oof.
He's chopped it.
He needs to grow that back.
Grow it back, Buzz.
Back?
This I command.
Which is interesting that we're wanting a man to grow his hair back whose name is
Buzz.
Wow. Okay, so something that I think I've mentioned this before that I love that we get to do right now that only we got to do with a relative frequency early on in the Transformers the movie days is talk about the voice actors.
Yes.
And so I've got a few voice actors that were introduced in this sequence that I'd like to cover.
Right on.
We mentioned this earlier, and actually... I'm one sequence behind on this, but we forgot to mention that Frank Welker is the voice of Order. Law's dog. We've covered him exhaustively. He also voices Torch and Wild Bill, who we saw in this scene as well, but he did not speak. Moving on to Alpine, he is voiced by a gentleman by the name of Lee Waver, who actually, very interesting career, limited voiceover work that really revolves mostly around G.I. Joe. He did the voice of Alpine. He's a character actor with a lot of TV and film roles. A career dating back to 1955, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
Oh.
He was also in I Spy, Love American Style, several episodes of The Cosby Show, or actually The Bill Cosby Show, rather, but also The Cosby Show.
What
Sanford
was the
and
Bill
Son.
Cosby Show? I don't remember that.
It was a show that was on before The Cosby Show.
right.
I don't know that much about it.
I watched a show
It was
after
the 70s, right?
Yeah, either that or the 60s even, but probably the 70s. I watched a show after Cosby Show called The Cosby Files. He was a PI.
Holy cats.
He had a big career.
Oh.
I don't know if you know this. Bill Cosby was famous.
He's still famous.
Good
For other
Times. Good Times. The Jeffersons, Starsky and Hutch, Flamingo Rose, Buck Naked from Hill Street Blues, Webster, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Night Court, NYPD Blue. He was the blind seer in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's been on episodes of Community, Workaholics. I could go on. He had a lot of credits, but I tend to only list properties that I care about. When Bill Cosby guest hosted The Tonight Show in 1968, each night he had a bit where Lee Weaver was announced as a guest for the show, and they basically had a bit where he was announced as a guest. Cosby pretended to run out of time, and it would invite him back for the next night, and they would show Weaver backstage just trashing his dressing room in anger.
That's pretty funny, actually.
And then the only other character that was introduced was Gung Ho, but he is voiced by Chris Collins, a.k.a. Chris Latta, and we covered that pretty extensively.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. It's all it's
time
all about Lee Waver. Sorry.
Every time I hear a different voice by Chris Latta that's not Starscream or Cobra Commander, I'm like, really? That's him? It's quite amazing.
He was
the
versatile.
range he had.
Mm-hmm. He would have been a Frank Welker. level.
I think absolutely.
Well, I think maybe it's time to go into
Iconic Joements.
Joeverview.
Did I say G.I. Joeverview in this? Probably
so.
not. But we're really talking about the iconic Joement.
Yes.
And I'm looking at you, Caleb.
I mean, yeah, it's weird. I like,
This is your shit.
It's weird.
I know. I was trying to
What
think,
did we
like,
just watch?
Did we?
I like how you're always surprised we're doing a moment.
Well, I just don't know what I don't know what is expected of me. If you want me to do like,
What's your favorite iconic Joement?
Yeah.
oh, I thought I was supposed to be like, I thought you were cueing me to be like, I'm the ghost of the iconic
No.
Joement.
Sorry.
No, that's all taken care of. Just pick a Joement.
I don't know.
Ryan, we'll come back to him.
I will. God, I mean the whole reveal of like going into a mountain pussy and coming out of a butthole.
I've got the same thing.
Is quite amazing.
Just how fun that writing exercise.
Absolutely, or to animate it,
and the drawing exercise.
Because you know what you're doing, people.
They're just giggling like little boys, and just every new introduction to that world intrigues and horrifies me.
Yes, absolutely.
It is the worst.
It's gross and fun.
I guess when I try to approach the iconic moment with this movie, I'm trying to think back on what did I still remember from before I started revisiting this movie. And I do remember Cobra Commander coming out of the big clam shell. That had an impression on me. Probably.
How did he breathe in there?
I don't know. but what I guess that's iconic for me is because it does show the grossness of Cobra-la.
But also the theatricalness.
The theatricalness. And it's like, oh no, I keep coming back to this. I have a strange sympathy and pity for Cobra Commander.
He really is made of...
And there he is. And it's like, I mean, they're just from start to finish in this movie. They just run him through the gauntlet.
Absolutely. Like in this whole movie, and this is a comment that I see a lot of people say, was like, this really made Cobra Commander like humanized in a weird way.
I just thought of something.
Which when we revisit him later on in the movie, the humanizing him plays into that heavy.
Spoilers.
Yeah, okay.
I just thought of something. So we know that Golobulus really wants the broadcast energy transmitter.
BET.
And he threatens Serpentor and is like, you got to get this. And if you don't, well, maybe something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he's like, but first, the trial of Cobra Commander. Why?
Yeah.
If it's that important to you, you can. Cobra Commander's not going anywhere.
I would hardly call that a trial.
Well, we don't know yet.
We'll see. I think he's just flexing his muscles. He's like, here's... it's like
it's a kangaroo court anyway.
It's like a carrot and a stick thing. He's like, I can give you whatever you want, but also if you fail me or disappoint me, here's what's going to happen.
That being said, though, I'm sure nothing would please Serpentor more than what happens to Cobra in this trial. Spoiler alert.
Could have killed Cobra Commander anytime he wanted.
It's true.
Like Cobra Commander had much support, but...
Zero.
Some kind of lackey.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Please continue to listen. If I don't take it as a demand, but we'd like
encouragement.
Yeah, please.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. If you're on that Apple Podcast, by the way, why don't you leave a review?
Leave a review. 5 stars, please.
And social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all of them at APOD And then, of course, the web presence, AutopodDecepticast.com. There's a shop. There's some merch. None of it's G.I. Joe related right now. But we're a Transformers podcast, damn it.
You will be getting Joe merch from us if you have a chance.
That's right.
If you enter our contest.
G My Joe, the file card challenge.
That's right. So create your... one more time, where...
What's the website?
What's that website?
www.joecustoms.com.
Create your Joe, tweet it at us, and we will retweet it. And at the end of this Joeverview, we will pick a winner, and you will get some merch and swag.
Definitely chew gum while creating your Joe.
I'm sorry. I thought I was quiet.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Bye.
That was a good episode.
Blow cells, where we sell good.